Thank you. May now be seated. Father, may I have permission to begin the program? Good morning, Honorable Father Vice Chancellor, Reverend Father Dr. John Felix Raj, SJ, our chief guest, Dr. Kumar Shankar, S. Our guest of honor, Sri Rakesh Ranjit, respected Registrar, Reverend Father Dr. Xavier, SJ, Dean of various schools, Reverend Fathers, Sisters, faculty members, distinguished participants from academia and industry. It is truly a privilege to welcome you all to the Xavier International Conference on Business Environment, Xicbe 2025, an academic confluence of ideas, research, and global perspectives. This conference is hosted by Xavier Business School, St. Xavier's University, Kolkata, in collaboration with the University of Sussex, UK, and Singapore Management University, Singapore. This year's theme, Transforming Business, Economy, and Society through Innovation and Sustainable Practices, reflects our collective aspiration to shape a world that is economically vibrant, socially just, and environmentally conscious. I am Dr. Ruchita Varman, Assistant Professor, Xavier Business School, and it is an honor to serve as your MC for this inaugural session. We begin this special occasion with the lighting of the ceremonial lamp, a symbol of knowledge, purity, and enlightenment. May I invite Reverend Father Dr. John Felix Raj, Honorable Vice Chancellor, our chief guest, Dr. Kumar Shankar, our guest of honor, Sri Rakesh Ranjit, Reverend Father Dr. Xavier Jairaj, Registrar, Essex UK, Dean Sir, Dr. Shikhanti Patna, Convener of the Xicbe, Dr. Tudum Mukherjee, co-convener Dr. Abhishek Sahar Roy, and other distinguished dignitaries to kindly join us for the ceremonial lamp lighting.
Sir, we'll go for a group photo. Thank you, Father.
Thank you, esteemed dignitaries, for gracing us with this sacred gesture. Music has the power to elevate the mind and set a serene tone for the day. We now invite the talented students of Xavier Business School, Mayurakshi, Isha, Divyaru, Sharanya, and Samriti, to present the opening song. Thank you for that soothing and melodious rendition. May I now request honorable dignitaries to kindly take their seats on the dais. Father, sir, to formally open today's proceedings, I now invite our Dean, Professor Dr. Shitanshu Khatwa, Xavier Business School, to deliver the welcome address. Dr. Khatwa, the stage is yours.
Good morning and a warm welcome to all of you at St. Xavier's University, Kolkata. Respected Vice Chancellor, Father Dr. John Felix Raj Xicbe, respected Registrar, Father Dr. Xavier Jairaj Xicbe, Honorable Chief Guest, Dr. Uma Shankar S., Commissioner of Commercial Tax, Government of West Bengal, Honorable Guest of Honor, Mr. Rakesh Ranjan, Additional Secretary, BBC, Convener and Co-Convener of the Conference, Controller of Examination, my faculty colleagues, all other dignitaries, keynote speakers, panelists, track chairs, researchers, all paper presenters, and other officers, and lastly, my dear students. It gives me immense pleasure to welcome you to the first conference, Xavier International Conference on Business Environment, Xicbe 2025. This inaugural event is organized by Xavier Business School, St. Xavier's University, Kolkata. Over the next 2 days, the 29th and 30th of November 2025, we gathered here with a shared purpose. Our conference is anchored in a highly relevant and forward-looking theme, transforming business, economy, and society through innovation and sustainable practices. This conference serves as a global platform for academic exchange on the contemporary issues that are currently reshaping our business landscape, economy, and society. As we delve into our sessions, our focus will be on integrating innovation-driven approaches with sustainable and responsible practices. We aim to address critical emerging global priorities, ranging from environmental stewardship and inclusive growth to digital transformation and ethical governance. This aligns perfectly with St. Xavier's University's institutional commitment to fostering a research-intensive, globally engaged, and socially responsible academic ecosystem. We are proud to announce that this conference is held in academic collaboration with two prestigious institutions of the globe, the University of Sussex, UK, and Singapore Management University, Singapore. This collaboration not only enhances the international visibility of our event, but also strengthens our institutional partnership and promotes vital cross-border research engagement. The quality of the conference is defined by the expertise it gathers. We are honored to host distinguished keynote speakers from globally recognized institutions. We look forward to hearing from eminent scholars from the University of Sussex, senior faculty members from Essex Business School, academic leaders from Salim University, Eastern Michigan University, USA, Queen Mary Institute, London, Samarkand State University, Uzbekistan, and MBA School of Business, France. I'm glad to report that we have received over 144 registration in our first international conference. I'm proud to announce that after rigorous reviews, we have not only selected research papers for presentation from various colleges and universities within India, but also from outside India, from countries including Malaysia, Thailand, and Bangladesh. I would like to express my heartfelt gratitude to our conference sponsors, ICSSR, BBC, KPMG Global Services, Erudite, and many others. I also thank our St. Xavier's University, Kolkata Alumni Association for associating with us for this conference. Furthermore, our technical sessions will be chaired by experts drawn from premier national institutions, including IIT Kharagpur, several IIMs, ISI, IIT, IMI, renowned universities like Calcutta University, University of Bardwan, and others. Their involvement ensures that the deliberations across all tracks will be rigorous and high academic quality. Through our parallel technical sessions, panel discussions, and keynote addresses, we aim to promote interdisciplinary knowledge, exchange, and advance sustainable, inclusive business practices. I would like to express my gratitude to our Honorable Father Vice Chancellor and Father Registrar for their constant support, and to the organizing committee, our student volunteers, and the staff for their dedicated efforts in bringing this international conference to life. Once again, welcome to Xicbe 2025. We wish you a productive and inspiring 2 days of engagement. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for setting the tone for a meaningful academic engagement. It is now time to honor our esteemed dignitaries. As a mark of Xaverian respect, we felicitate our distinguished guests with an ofrio and memento, symbolizing gratitude, tradition, and goodwill. May I now request Honorable Father Vice Chancellor Dr. John Felix Raj to felicitate our chief guest, Dr. Uma Shankar.
It's for suspense.
May I now request Honorable Father Vice Chancellor to felicitate our guest of honor, Sri Rakesh Ranjan ji. Thank you, Father. May I now request our Dean, Dr. Shatanshu Khatwa, to felicitate our very own Father Vice Chancellor.
Shasib.
Thank you, Father. It is now a humble request.
The top was ever. Thank you.
I would now request Dr. Khatwa to felicitate our Father Registrar, Dr. Xavier Jenner. Father. I request our convener, Dr. Tutu Mukherjee, and co-convener, Dr. Abhishek Saharoy, felicitate our respected deans. Thank you for this gracious and heartfelt exchange of respect. It is now my honor to invite an educational visionary and institution builder and a distinguished Jesuit academician, Reverend Father Dr. John Felix Raj, S.J., Honorable Vice Chancellor, St. Xavier's University, Kolkata. Father's leadership radiates the Jesuit commitment to holistic education, intellectual depth, and social transformation. His efforts continue to strengthen the global academic footprint of our university. It is an honor to invite Reverend Father Dr. John Felix Raj, S.J., to deliver the inaugural address. Father, please.
A very good morning to all of you.
Morning.
Reverend Father Registrar, Father Xavier Jairaj, Sri Uma Shankar, IAS, Mr. Rakesh from DVC, Dean Professor Sitanshu Katwa, and the convener, Professor Tutul Mukherjee, faculty members, esteemed guests, MBA students, research scholars, and my dear delegates. It is a privilege to stand before you at this first international conference on business environment hosted by Xavier Business School, St. Xavier's University, Kolkata. I welcome you all to St. Xavier's University, Kolkata, and to this conference in particular. On this auspicious occasion, I extend my heartfelt gratitude to our partners, the University of Sussex, London, and Singapore Management University, whose collaboration has turned this event into a truly global platform. You may ask, why this conference? Our theme, transforming business, economy, and society through innovation and sustainable practices, captures the urgency of today's challenges. Climate change, rapid digitalization, and the call for inclusive growth demand. Inclusive growth demand that businesses move beyond profit maximization to become stewards of the planet and society. This conference is a timely response to that call, offering a space to exchange cutting-edge research, forge new partnerships, and co-create actionable solutions. Innovation serves as a catalyst, as emerging technologies such as AI, blockchain, and green energy can drive efficiency while reducing environmental footprints. Sustainability is a business imperative because there is a strong economic case for responsible sourcing, circular economies, because there is an ethical governance. Inclusive growth requires strategies to ensure that the benefits of innovation reach marginalized communities, thereby bridging the digital divide. Cross-border collaboration offers lessons from our partner institutions and fostering joint research, student exchanges, and policy dialogue. We aim to build a repository of evidence-based insights that can shape future curricula and policies through panel discussions and paper presentations, thereby fostering knowledge sharing. I encourage every participant to identify potential collaborators, be it a faculty member from Sussex, a startup from Singapore, or a social enterprise from Kolkata, or from our own university, St. Xavier's, and begin a dialogue that extends beyond these 2 days, which will nurture collaborative partnership. Finally, let us leave with at least one concrete project, policy brief, or pilot initiative that we can implement in our respective contexts, ensuring actionable outcomes. The challenges that we face are too far vast for a single institution or discipline. As scholars, practitioners, and educators, we have the responsibility and the opportunity to translate ideas into impact. I invite you to embrace the spirit of this conference. Be bold in experimenting, be rigorous in evaluating, and be compassionate in delivering the outcomes that uplift both the economy and the society we serve. I am very grateful today to Mr. Uma Shankar, IAS, for accepting our invitation to be with us this morning as the chief guest of this 2 days conference. I also want to express our gratitude to Mr. Rakesh for your, of course, sponsorship as well as for your participation in this conference. Thank you to the organizing committee led by convener Dr. Tutun Mukherjee and his co-convener, and also his team members, and to all the international partners, and to each of you for bringing your expertise and passion to St. Xavier's University. I look forward to the rich conversations that will unfold over the next 2 days, and to the collaborations that will shape a more sustainable, innovative, and inclusive future. I wish all of you delegates a fruitful 2 days conference. Simar, Maje, Ashim Tumi, St. Xavier's, Nihil Ultra, nothing beyond. God bless you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Father, for your inspiring and thought-provoking words. Our chief guest today, Dr. Uma Shankar, SIAS, is an exceptional public administrator and a proud product of Jesuit schooling. Born in Tamil Nadu, his early education in Jesuit institutions like St. Mary's Higher Secondary School, Madurai, and St. Arulandar Higher Secondary School, Uriur, shaped his values of service, discipline, and compassion. A medical doctor by qualification, he completed his MBBS from Thudupudi Medical College and served communities in Delhi and Chennai. His transition to public administration was driven by a profound desire to create large-scale impact. Since joining the Indian Administrative Services in 2011, he has held several key positions: sub-collector, additional collector, district collector, excise commissioner, managing director, WPS, PCL, Inspector General of Registration, to name a few. He currently serves as the Commissioner of Commercial Taxes West Bengal and Director DRIME, where his leadership reflects efficiency, digital transformation, and transparent governance. Mr. Uma Shankar is the recipient of 3 national awards in rural development, sanitation, and e-governance. He exemplifies integrity, empathy, and public service leadership. Sir, we are deeply honored by your presence today. May we invite you to address the gathering. So please.
Thank you, madam, for your kind words. A very good morning to all. Esteemed Vice Chancellor, Reverend Father Dr. John Felix Raj, respected dignitaries, distinguished guests, scholars, industry leaders, faculty members, and my dear students. Once again, a warm good morning. It's immensely an honor as well as a privilege to be part of this first international conference on business and economics 2025 organized by St. Xavier's University, St. Xavier's Business School, an institution that consistently upholds academic excellence, ethical leadership, and global engagement. Today's theme, rethinking performance, sustainability, and the future of business practices, is both timely and transformative. Yes, really, it's a very transformative topic for today's world. Across the world, business schools, industry, and the governments are converging on one realization. The old metrics of success are no longer enough. Profit alone can no longer define the performance. We live in an era where responsibility, resilience, innovation, and social impact have become unavoidable pillars of business progress. As the technology accelerates, market shifts, and the global risk intensifies, organizations must now ask, how do we build institutions and economics that are not only successful, but sustainable also? How do we create value without compromising the future? How do we prepare our young minds to lead with clarity, conscience, and compassion? This conference, I hope, brings together some of the finest thinkers across the world from the UK, USA, France, UAE, Uzbekistan, and India, reflecting a powerful dialogue between research and practice, academia and industry, local priorities and global challenges. Their collective knowledge will help us refine systems, influence policy, and inspire new models of governance, entrepreneurship, and innovation. But beyond the papers and discussions, I strongly believe that deeper purpose of this conference is to awaken a new mindset, one that embraces collaboration over competition, sustainability over short-termism, and human development over transactional outcomes. To the young researchers and students present here, you are stepping into a world that demands not only skill, but also adaptability, ethical judgment, and emphatic leadership. Conferences like Xicbe are not just academic platforms. They are launchpads to imagine the future differently. As we begin this two-day journey of ideas, inquiry, and insight, let us remember that knowledge is most powerful when it is shared, and the leadership is most meaningful when it serves the society. Let this conference ignite new conversations, foster partnerships, and inspire every participant to carry forward the Xavier spirit of excellence, integrity, and service. Thank you, and I wish the conference a great success. And once again, I thank the St. Xavier's University, the Business School, and the organizers for giving me this wonderful opportunity to have a small dialogue with you. So once again, I thank you.
Thank you, sir, for your inspiring and insightful address. Our guest of honor, Shri Rakesh Ranjanji, is a seasoned technocrat, administrator, and thought leader in India's power and energy sector. An alumnus of NIT Patna and ISRO, he has decades of experience across power plant operations and maintenance, environment and pollution controls, corporate governance, HR and administrative leadership, contract and material management. As Additional Secretary, Damodar Valley Corporation, he plays a pivotal role in strengthening administrative excellence and organizational transformation. He has been instrumental in crafting DVC's Vision 2030 for 15,000 megawatt capacity expansion, strengthening CSR initiatives aligned with global sustainability goals, leading major national missions, including Ujjwal Bhavishya Power at 2040, PM Vishwakarma. Also, spearheading modernization and strategic innovation in the power sector. His leadership is an embodiment of sustainability, efficiency, and progressive governance, We are honored to welcome Shri Rakesh Ranjan to deliver the special address. Sir, please.
Good morning and Suprabhat to all of you. Most respected, Honorable Revered Vice Chancellor, most respected Registrar Sir, most respected our Chief Guest, Dr. Jaishankar, Dr. Uma Shankar, IAS from Government of West Bengal, all dignitaries on the dais and off the dais, all my dear students, all bright young minds sitting here, and lastly, all the delegates from DVC and all faculties. Once again, a very good morning to all of you. First, let me thank St. Xavier's University as well as Xavier Business School for inviting me as a guest of honor at this first international conference. When I saw the theme, transforming business, economy, and society through innovation and sustainable practice, I thought what an inspiring and relevant topic, not only for your academia, but it is very much relevant for industries as well. Honestly, this is the kind of conversation every institution, every business, and every policy maker needs to be having today. If we just pause for a moment and look around us, the world is changing so faster than ever before. Artificial intelligence, machine learning, all these are reshaping how we work. Digital platforms are rewriting the business models, and sustainability, most important, sustainability has moved from being a buzzword some 20, 25 years back. It was just a buzzword, but now it is a tool for the surviving strategy. Innovation tells us how to grow, and sustainability reminds us why we must grow with a sense of responsibilities towards the people, towards the society, towards the world. And that balance between speed and direction is what defines the true progress. Let me share a small perspective from where I have come from. Damodar Valley Corporation. First, I would like to let you know that very soon, in a year or two, we will be having our own new corporate building just beside the Karigari Bhavan. So we will be neighbor of this St. Xavier's Institute, St. Xavier's University, and definitely your setup will be beneficial in future for all of us. DVC, most of you might not be knowing it in details. In fact, this organization was the first multi-purpose river valley project of Government of India, which came into being by DVC Act 1948. This act, you just imagine when there was no Constitution of India. At that time, it was passed by the Constituent Assembly of India. So, this is a very old but progressive organization. We are basically a unique organization in India where we do first and foremost river management of this river Damodar. We have converted this river Damodar from sorrow of Bengal to prosperity of Bengal. We are doing under one umbrella power generation, power transmission, power distribution, mining, soil conservation, entire water management and socio-economic development of our command area, because by constitution we have been allotted a command area of around 25,000 square kilometers spreaded in the state of West Bengal and Jharkhand. Today, nearly 8 decades later, we are still guided by that same principle. What sustainability? You might be amazed to know that these pollution control acts came into being in India in 1974 and 1981, this Air and Water Pollution Act. But we were mandated in 1948 to control, to monitor the pollution of River Damodar. That were our one of the main objectives. So sustainability is in our blood. We are installing flue gas desulfurization plants, FGD plants. These are the systems to reduce the air pollution or the emissions which come from our power plant. Moving to digital platforms like S4HANA. S4HANA, we have just adopted it. Adopting AI-based maintenance for our thermal plants and steadily improving our renewable energy share. Yes, Madam said that we are going to become a 15,000 megawatt plant by 2000 unit by 2030, and that will have a major share of renewable energy, solar and floating solar, because we have so many dams, and there we are installing our floating solar power plant. But transformation is not just about machines or software, it's about mindset. At DVC, we are constantly asking ourselves, how can we be more efficient? How can we serve people better? How can we grow without harming the environment? And that's why, being so organized, and we are not mandated by Companies Act, still we have adopted ESG framework for all of our activities. And that, I believe, is a question all of us as individuals, institutions, and as a nation must keep asking, because the next generation of leadership sitting right here in this hall will have to make choices that affect millions. What are those? How to make business more inclusive. How to balance automation with employment. AI has come. And this is a danger right now globally. How to align our profit with some purpose. These are not easy questions, but they are exciting ones. And I'm sure many of you are already exploring such ideas through your projects and research. That's why gathering like this conference are so valuable. They are not just about presentations, the papers, they are about connections, collaborations, what our Vice Chancellor was telling. Collaboration and conversation between academia and industries, social organization are must these days for making this sustainability approach. Let me also say something directly to the students present here. You are entering a world where your ability to think differently will matter as much as your degree. Be curious, ask questions, challenge conventions. Whenever you enter such academic campus or a training institute, leave your status, your ego just outside the gate and come with a learning type of approach in your mind to learn something from this campus. Always remember this. Don't be afraid of technology, embrace it. But also remember that technology without empathy can never lead to meaningful purpose. This empathy you must have in all of your approaches, in all of your executions. Whatever you do, this empathy must be there. very important part of sustainability. So as you move forward, keep combining your knowledge with compassion, your logic with creativity, and your ambition with responsibility. That combination is what will make you future ready. Always remember that this is your attitude which will bring altitude not in your career, but in your life. Wherever you will go, your attitude plays your personality. As India moves towards becoming a 5 trillion economy, we have a unique opportunity to build growth that is both innovative and sustainable. The government's focus on renewables, electric mobility, green hydrogen, and smart infrastructure all point toward a future where business and sustainability walk hand in hand, and it is your generation that have to drive this vision forward. So as we begin this conference, I would like to leave you with one simple thought. Transformation begins with imagination, but it succeeds through collaboration, for which we have been invited. Let's use the next 2 days not just to discuss ideas, but to build bridges between disciplines, between nations, and between generations. Thank you once again for inviting me, and my best wishes for a highly engaging and impactful conference. Thank you, Jai Hind.
Thank you, sir, for your enriching and enlightening words on the importance of sustainability in today's business environment. We now move to a significant moment, the release of the conference proceedings, a compilation of scholarly research and collective academic efforts that form the backbone of XICBE 2025. May I request the dignitaries
Joy for a festival.
thank you. To formally express our gratitude and appreciation, I now invite the conference convener, Dr. Tutu Mukherjee, to deliver the vote of thanks. So please.
Honorable Father Vice Chancellor, Reverend Dr. John Felix Raj, SJ. Honorable Father Registrar, Reverend Dr. Xavier Jairaj, SJ. Dean, Professor Dr. Sitanshu Khatwa, esteemed speakers, honored guests, faculty members, participants, and my dear students. On behalf of Xavier Business School, St. Xavier's University, Kolkata, it is my honor and privilege to stand before you to propose the vote of thanks for today's event. First and foremost, we express our sincere gratitude to our Honorable Father Vice Chancellor for his continuous leadership and for gracing the occasion with his inspiring presence and insightful thoughts. We extend our heartfelt thanks to our respected Father Registrar for his unwavering administrative support and for always guiding us in all institutional endeavors. A special word of appreciation to our team for its constant encouragement, collaboration, and support in making this conference a success. We offer our sincere thanks to all keynote speakers, panel discussants, and track chairs for joining us today and for agreeing to contribute to the session ahead. We look forward to your insightful and stimulating deliberations. We are grateful to all our distinguished guests and invitees for taking the time to attend and bless the inaugural ceremony with their presence. Our appreciation extends to our sponsors, TBC, title sponsor, ICSSR ERC, Research Support Partner, KPMG Global Services, Award Partner, Erudite, Knowledge Partner, Millennium Post, Print Media Partner, Popski, Refreshment Partner, Selvan One, Outdoor Partner, Simran's Innovation, Gifting Partner, and 91.9 Friends FM, Associate Partner, for their valuable contributions and support to the conference. We also express our gratitude to all participants, paper presenters, and attendees from India and abroad whose presence enriches this academic forum. A special word of appreciation goes to the Xicbe Alumni Association, organizing committee, student volunteers, and the technical and administrative team. Your hard work and dedication have ensured the seamless conduct of this inaugural session. Finally, thank you to all of you for being with us this morning. Your presence has made the inaugural session truly memorable. We wish you an intellectually stimulating and engaging continuation of the conference. Thank you all.
Thank you, sir. With that, we conclude the formal proceedings of this inaugural ceremony. Thank you and have a meaningful, inspiring day ahead. A gentle announcement before we conclude. Refreshment for dignitaries are arranged at the lounge opposite Arupe Hall. Participants may avail the refreshments in the lobby area. As a gesture of respect, all are requested to rise as the dignitaries make their way out of the hall following the conclusion of the ceremony. Thank you for your cooperation and presence in today's event, a memorable one.
Sorry, ma'am. No.
Participants are requested to return to the hall around 11:10. We will begin with the keynote sessions sharp at 11:15. It's a humble request for all the participants to take their seats in the hall. We are shortly going to begin the keynote sessions. May I request the participants who are in the lobby to please come inside and take their seats for the keynote session.
আপনারটা সার্ভিসটা অ্যাকসেপ্ট আছে না না কিছু না
May I request the participants to kindly take their seats in the hall. We are shortly going to begin the keynote session. Just a gentle reminder, I would request everybody to please keep their cell phones on switched off or silent mode for the seamless flow of the event.
सीधा
Good morning. As we begin our post-inaugural proceedings, we are delighted to share that a tree plantation ceremony, a green tribute led by our Honorable Father Vice Chancellor and other esteemed dignitaries is taking place simultaneously as we are in the hall beginning the keynote session. This gesture reflects our commitment to sustainability and environmental stewardship. We now invite our keynote expert, Professor Dr. Xavier, Dean, Essex Business School, one of Europe's leading voices in banking stability, financial governance, and sustainable finance. We welcome you, ma'am.
Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning. Can you hear me all right?
Yes, ma'am, we can.
Very good. Thank you for inviting me. I'm going to share my slides. And so give me a moment. Oh, I don't seem to be able to share my slides. Could you allow me, please?
Ma'am, you can share. Ma'am, can you hear? Please try once. Possibly now you will be able. Yes, ma'am, we can see your screen.
Thank you. That's perfect. Thank you very much. Okay, so first of all, I would like to thank you for inviting me to your conference. I'm really delighted to have this opportunity to have this presentation on these topics that are part of my research pipeline. I've been working for a number of years on sustainability in banking in particular, and recently I have prepared and co-authored a paper that looks at advancements in sustainable banking and risks. Now, first of all, what is sustainable banking? Sustainable banking typically refers to a strategic and ethical approach to banking that integrates ESG considerations into core banking activities alongside the traditional financial objectives. And it's closely related to responsible banking because it looks at the long-term value creation, ethical conduct, and also the alignment of the banking practices to the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. Now, the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals are well known to, I'm sure, to everyone. They were set out in 2015, but in 2015 there was also this very important agreement, which was the Paris Climate Agreement, and that was probably the most significant legally binding international treaty to combat climate change. And now, in banking specifically, I'd like to mention there's been quite a lot of regulation and quite a lot of changes. And but I think there's two types of principles the banks have signed up to. One is the UN Principles for Responsible Banking. So that's a framework of about 6 principles around governance, transparency, and stakeholders and responsible banking in different type of responsible banking aspects. And currently 350 banks have signed up to that. And out of these 350 banks, 140 banks have signed up to the Net Zero Banking Alliance, which means they're really committed to actually achieve net zero by 2050. Now, if we look internationally, I mean, I've done quite a bit of research on European banks and being in Europe, and clearly there's been quite a lot going on in Europe around progress around sustainable banking, probably more than anywhere else at the start, if we think about from 2015. But the US has always had an inconsistent stance. We know why. For example, the President Trump twice basically left twice the Paris Climate Agreement, and so that's obviously affected the regulation and the commitment of the country. But actually, I was looking also India and China. I also have a book chapter on emerging markets sustainability in banking, and India and China are making quite a significant progress in recent years. Now, what are the sustainability or ESG risks? Now, the current literature and the practice identifies basically 2 main ESG risks. One is the physical risk, and these arise, for example, when you have big floodings, and these are clearly an effect of climate change. So you have extreme events, big floodings, for example, or drought, and they were not happening before, they happen now. Okay, so we think at the point of view of the banks and the fact that they lend to businesses that might be located in areas where floodings, for example, are becoming more and more intense and more frequent. But there's also the transition risk, because in the transition to a world, a planet that is less carbon intensive, companies to which the banks lend to might also have some regulations to comply with, or greater taxation on their business if is not sustainable. There could also be other factors like also changing consumer preferences. And in addition, you could argue there's also the legal risk, which captures banks' growing exposure to litigation, regulatory enforcement, but also compliance failures linked to ESG-related obligations. Now, so if we think about the banks, then, sorry, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, guys. So ESG risk, if we think about the traditional banking risks, for example, credit risk, liquidity risk, operational risk, they basically are inflated by ESG risk. So you could argue that ESG risks amplify traditional banking risk categories. And I would like to show an example in a table. So here, for example, you have physical risk. So we can assume, for example, a big floodings in some areas, and banks lend to these businesses located in this area prone to floodings. Okay, so what happens for the bank point of view is that the borrowers in those areas suffer losses due to these floodings, and therefore they default on the loans. So for the bank, it becomes a cost in terms of higher non-performing loans or bad loans, because the businesses cannot obviously repay. But also it can affect market risk if the bank's securities value drops. Liquidity risk if the customers affected by these big floodings need money, so withdraw all their deposit or the liquidity to spend for their businesses, and so on. So basically what I'm trying to say is that this interconnection explains the need for an integrated risk governance frameworks, because all normal traditional banking risks are inflated, are affected by ESG risks. Now, I know I only have another 3 minutes, so I'll be super quick. Now, in doing my research, I found out that there are two main points that affect the researcher in these areas. One is about defining, measuring, reporting, and how firms report ESG or sustainability risk. And the other one is the risk of greenwashing, okay, which is obviously a real problem for anyone doing research in these areas. Now, definition, typically CSR and ESG are used interchangeably, but what you put in inside this particular concepts, so the kind of how you define each of these environmental, social, and governance aspects can vary from study to study, okay? But also the indexes that you can download from databases that are ESG ratings can differ as well. And this is a very, very well-known article that has been published in 2022, proving that if you try to correlate these different indexes of ESG, basically you find that sometimes they don't correlate as they should, and this is very unsettling for researchers and for investors. Then there is the issue of reporting, the fact that firms need to report properly their sustainability business, so this non-financial reporting. And for a researcher, is very and for the banks, is very difficult to assess businesses' sustainability if the reports are not comparable, if they are not complete, and so on. And finally, there's the greenwashing risk, which basically looks at those businesses that falsely claim to be sustainable, and therefore they misrepresent or misstate their sustainability activities and practices. And this is obviously affecting not just researchers, but everyone. So avenues of future research, the ESG disclosure quality, assessing the long-term impact of sustainability on bank stability, examining regulatory and political influences on ESG adoption, exploring how ESG integration can affect risk management and financing also in different banking contexts. And also another thing that I haven't talked about earlier, but is important, is trying to disentangle environment from social and governance, because often studies focus on ESG as an aggregate, but I think the biggest issue for climate is the environmental, obviously, environmental dimension. So perhaps the need for more targeted analysis to focus on environment and drop in a way social and governance, and I analyzed them in different contexts. So that's it. I was very quick. So thank you very much for inviting me, and I wish you a very productive day. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for your valuable insights on sustainable banking and finance. Thank you, because of tender area. Our next keynote address will be delivered by Dr. Zlantika Blaber, Associate Professor of Accounting, Salem State University, USA, an authority on sustainability accounting and global reporting frameworks. Welcome, ma'am.
Thank you very much. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am, we can.
Thank you. I'm going to share my screen.
Yes, ma'am, it is visible.
Yeah. Thank you for inviting me to this very interesting conference. I've been listening carefully since it started. It's an honor for me to speak here as a keynote speaker. My name is Zlatinka Blaber. I'm an associate professor of accounting at a public university, regional liberal arts college called Salem State University in Massachusetts, United States. Okay, so the theme of the conference is transforming business, the economy, and society through innovation and sustainable practices. In this presentation, I will focus here, as I said on the second line, on experiential learning on sustainability from a teaching perspective. Transforming business, the economy, and society starts from the classroom. It can be middle school, even elementary, high school, college, university. As future world leaders, today's students will strive to innovate and make life on the planet more sustainable if they were taught these values early on. Experiential learning, especially virtual work-integrated learning, known as WIL placements, have never been easier to adopt due to relatively recent developments in technology, such as virtual video calls like this one, and shared cloud sharing capabilities, such as shared folders, shared files. In the last 4 years, from 2021 to 2025, I have adopted in my classes virtual micro-internships as part of the term mark, as they say in the UK, or as part of the semester grade, as we say in the US, in most of my college level classes. There are various ways to find industry partners, including those that focus on sustainability, but my university uses the Ripen platform, spelled with double I. The second I stands for innovation.com, ripen.com. This is a Canadian experiential learning database where faculty can search with keywords or by category or location and find available industry partner projects. Then there is a matching process. Both parties have to accept the match request, talk on the phone or on Zoom, and decide to enter this partnership for their students. So it takes a willing instructor and a willing industry partner to bring will to the learners. It doesn't need to be a for-profit company. On this database, there are a lot of non-governmental organizations, social enterprises, etc. In my classes, personally, we have partnered with projects from Botswana in sub-Saharan Africa, Canada, London in the UK, and the US for about 10-15 hours per learner as part of the term mark. In the table that follows here, I will use the acronyms EN, S, and EC. EN stands for environmental, S for social, and EC for economic development. Many of the projects I have done, and I have done about 30 projects with my classes, have been sustainability focused. And table 1 mentions the industry partner, the industry, the location, the company stage of development, as well as the nature of the class experience, what the deliverables were, and the sustainability type, EN, S, or EC. For example, Purpose Design is a startup from the United States. They do web design for sustainable clients. We prepared a business plan for them, and the areas were environmental, since they help environmentally conscious clients, and economic, since they want to be sustainable in financial terms in the long run. Ptarium is a 3D manufacturing company or additive manufacturing company from Botswana. They prepare 3D jewelry or car parts and other items that the client requests. Albu Wireless Technology Solutions from Canada is a startup of several electricians who install electric vehicle chargers in houses, garages, next to freeways, etc. We did the budget preparation for them. Minoa Home, they deal with organic cotton, linen, and towels retail from Canada. For them, my sustainability class students prepared content creation for social media posts, such as Instagram and Facebook posts. And the list continues. AI shading from Canada, they preserve heat and cooling by having the proper type of shades on the windows, curtains, blinds, and they wanted to expand their business to Massachusetts. My students had to research the window shading industry and advise them how to compete. Hayson Ventures, they work in India, reforestation. One of the partners is from India, and they're doing reforestation in northern India, but they're based in California. RHST Industries in Canada is a startup that deals with IT and technologies related to the preservation of water in agriculture, reduction of evaporation. Honey Sweetie Acres, they prepare organic milk soap from the milk of tiny goats called Nigerian dwarf goats. They're known for their very good quality milk, which is great for personal products such as lotions, shampoos, and soaps. For them, we also prepared a business plan. And Wenco International Mining is a mining machinery company, which is now part of a Japanese company. They were acquired, but they are also based in Canada. And we had to create an ESG dashboard for them and survey mining students from our collaborative online international learning partner in Colombia to see miners' views on ESG in mining. This semester, my sustainability, is it good for business class, is preparing team video generation, 30-second videos using AI tools such as ChatGPT and some other ones. We're trying to use the free tiers of these products in collaboration with foreign students all the way from Gorontalo, Indonesia. I'll tell you more about this in the next slide, how we integrate collaborative online international learning, COIL, also known as virtual exchange, in our RIPEN projects. Another one that we're doing this semester is Perspective Views, an architecture firm. For them, we have to estimate the profitability between two options. The stacked townhouse option, where they were originally they were planning to build 18 units, but they couldn't sell them since they were stacked. Each apartment had neighbors from every side without much landscaping. The developer asked them to redesign the architectural plan so that there are fewer neighbors and more landscaping around each townhouse. That's the traditional townhouse option. So students have to do research what the selling prices are for townhouses in Canada, Ontario, and what the costs are. Construction costs, soft costs, etc. So the innovation that I already mentioned a little bit about is that this semester we're including, in my 3 RIPEN projects with 3 classes, we're including foreign students. This way we're combining COIL with RIPEN. Who are our partners? In our managerial accounting class, our partner is from South Africa, University of Johannesburg. The industry partner is an IT startup from Boston, TaskTrain. In cost accounting, we have 2 Jordanian universities, Yarmouk and the Middle East University in Amman. The Yarmouk students are construction engineering students. Therefore, we have an exchange of expertise, cost accounting and construction engineering expertise. And as I mentioned before, in the first year seminar called Sustainability, Is It Good for Business? Our partner is an international diplomacy and relations class from Universitas Bina Mandiri Gorontalo in Indonesia. 13 hours time zone difference. It is exciting though. We have to always Google what time is it now in Gorontalo or in Amman to know when to schedule our Zoom meetings. Implications for practice of what I was talking about. I strongly encourage all instructors present at this conference to enter in such local, national, or international experiential learning collaborations. They may be in person, hybrid, or virtual. You may use your own connections with companies through your friends and family, neighbors, community businesses, or alumni businesses. You don't need to have a RIPEN subscription. Including foreign classes, besides your classes, would expand the impact of the partnerships, the societal impact, for example, that lots of accreditation bodies are asking about, and bring fresh perspectives on the business issue at hand. Such university-industry collaborations have never been easier, thanks to developments in technology, especially during and after the COVID-19 pandemic. They help fill the gap between industry and academia. Transforming business, the economy, and society through innovation and sustainable practices starts in the classroom and should continue throughout one's career. Thank you very much for your attention. This is my email address if you would like to keep in touch or ask any questions. I wish you a good remainder of the conference.
So much, ma'am, for your insightful address on how academicians can start with sustainability practices in their own classrooms. Thank you, ma'am.
You're welcome.
I will now request our third keynote speaker, Shri Shubhendu Bose, Senior Advisor, Ministry of Energy and Infrastructure, UAE, who brings deep expertise in global energy transition and infrastructure strategy. Sir, you're most welcome. We have the privilege of having Sir in person. So, sir, please, the stage is all yours.
Thank you so much. No, I come to Kolkata almost every alternate weekend is sure, if not sometimes all 4 weekends. My mother and wife is still there in Kolkata. So last 2009 onwards, I do a very unsustainable practice. I left India, but I have to come back to Calcutta almost every weekend. So this is not sustainable. And I think it is, a little bit of idea of introduction over there. I manage UAE's energy transition. So that means what is the entire energy infrastructure inside UAE and how it is going to transit to the net zero by 2050. And the country is like, yes, when the Muslim said it has to be done. So we are planning for 2040. And not only the UAE, because we manage supply chain to more than, I think, 140 countries, oil and gas. So it's a big global diplomacy that keeps us busy. And we try to help other things. Before that, I was in World Bank. And still I advise World Bank and IFC. Before that, I was he was managing Ernst & Young's clean energy business, and in the Asia and Southeast Asia. Prior to that, I was a husband banking kind of. Probably you have not heard of. It's a $6 billion sovereign wealth fund in Mubarak. UAE's Mubarak, and before that. I don't know presentations. I'm not from academics background, so I'll talk what I feel. Yes, KPM guys, Anish is my very good friend, and we are trying to asking Anish when they visited Anish and from your Australian partners. They're visiting us in Dubai for something really big. You might hear about it. Let's see. But let me see a few things very clearly from heart. I think this is purposes for the students while I'm here, and what I don't know about the sustainability, but what they can get business in future and the livelihood and income and prosperity, right? So my thing is for the students, not from the professors. Sorry, sir, my apologies. First thing is that I think again, I don't understand sustainability. So I work so-called climate change sustainability service in UI for 13 years and working this because I think the definition itself is very much hypothetical. What do you mean by sustainability? Are you trying to mean that now we need to get things to meet what? Very fundamental question, need or meet? When the subject is, coming for the society, business, and sustainability, that's the whole economy started as for the part of need. But then the economy, same economy thrived on the grid. And they got. And over today, our main issues is that I think we are talking about sustainability because we are afraid there are things are changing which is not beyond our control. Very layman's terms over there, the earth consumption versus recycling limit has been crossed. That means what we consume every day, it doesn't get recycled. So you are getting the waste and getting the resources are getting increasingly tougher. And we came to this position. Now, and we are talking about the sustainability because we are not able to handle the reactive nature of the climate or Mother Earth. Climate change is happening, but I give you the numbers. On the EU, just 450 million people consume 24% of the global average. So 450 million is divided by 8 billion. So we are talking about a very small fraction of population consumes 24% of the global average. 19 kg per persons per year. You multiply with 450 million, that's a number. And the point is, as though their population is decreasing, and still the consumption is increasing 4% a year. What is happening on this? We all talk about the climate change, you talk about every business model, everybody talking about the ESG, climate change, sustainability. And we are 2 degrees, 2.5 degrees now getting into, but nobody are talking about that, everybody talks about, we need to go energy, direct air capture, everything, coal, change everything on that. Very fundamental question, where this energy is going? Are we eating the energy? The answer is no. Don't worry, students. I'll come to the the business for your next business. But the point is, it is all going to the consumption, which is not getting recycled. Point is, we need to just 10% reduction on consumptions would avoid trillions of dollars of investment in the clean energy infrastructure. But nobody talks about in COP, in G20, never summit. We are there, we do this and do these negotiations, but nobody talks about the fundamental change in consumption. No, because it hurts the business. Now coming back to these things, you still go on consuming, but you don't want to get back. Now we are talking about the transition, how do we finance the transition, finance sustainability, but what the fundamental is. Now, why this are all happening? And we came out, I came out personally, this is my eye-opening things, because our job is energy planning for the country. So we could find the rate of growth. So second derivative, the rate of growth is coming down on the energy consumption. We try to find out what is the reason. Then I come down to a statistics, which is very important. I'll come join the dots, but these are the things. It's a women fertility. So this is alarmingly changing in the last 20 years, alarmingly. I'll give you the numbers like this. By 2000, in the year 2000, Saudi Arabia had a women fertility of around 8. Today, these are 2.1. That means you had 2000, almost 8 children per woman. Today, you are having 2.1. Itself, India number is 1980, we have 5.86. Today, out of 30 states, 22 states, they are either 1.9. Average is already India 2.0, 2.1. Now that means the rate of growth of people, second, actually coming down. And you can see that within the 10-15 years, this is creating a problem, because today my energy need is very high, infrastructure resources need is high, so I am putting the money in. But when I see the little bit of long-term growth projections, I do not see my investment is getting realized. So that's a very big dilemma for us. We are actually managing, like, I'm working with INC on a $1 billion fund. I'll discuss over there later. But it is a very risk factor for us when we invest, and how do we get the money back? Because the consumption, you can directly correlate when you see the China development and others, that how the real estate is going forward, because China population fertility rate is 1.03. So you develop a real estate, but within 10 years or 12 years, you are getting down on the level, and the consumption is a big issue. So, as the global demand is actually shifting down, which is happening last 4 or 5 years, and this is shining, and we are getting to see the conflicts across the globe. The USD changing of the demand coming down, the global reserve currency is changing, and one more thing is happening. And before I came to this point, my own hypothesis is that you cannot solve the problem the same way you have to construct it in the same base. So whatever the traditional financing everybody is talking today and doing it cannot solve. Even ESG is particularly greenwashing. I mean, previous speaker, I think most of the ESGs, and thanks to I'm also was a part of Big Four, and these Big Fours are one of the most responsible. They make beautiful reports to making I'm part of greenwashing them. They help that. Not, don't worry. I mean, even Alish, Amrita was she used to report to me, Ajay, Amrita over there, so you know them guys. Amrita is your Calcutta one. No, she moved to Deloitte, from Kevin to Deloitte. But this beautiful reports we get paid, but they don't do the right thing, financing. On the other hand, because the traditional way of ESG and this thing cannot solve the problem. I have example to do this. Today we are talking about on the sustainability. Again, I'm from the energy sector, so I'll give energy sector examples more. Today, one of the big global change or source of change who have done it, because the entire thermal economy, oil and gas, is under the trouble. What is happening? And the one person did that, he was not an economics, he's the Elon Musk. Honestly speaking, this is the guy who is changing the world order. What he did, taking a normal EV, getting into a business model, and I'm actually fortunate that 2019 when I was in Mubadala, that was my first project, we invested $250 million in Tesla and $300 million in BYD. First time I came across that EV and lithium-ion batteries. I think, that company figured something. And today, the entire transport industry is going to shift it. We know that. We cannot have this. EV is going to come and we will take it over much faster than we are saying. But the impact is huge. How it is done? There are two words. The traditional automotive manufacturing was in Europe and US. They were getting money from all consumption in Asia. The money was transported there. Even we produce, India around 17 million bikes every day, two-wheelers, but we do not have a single technology. Technology owns to Piaggio. We manufacture power turbine, BHEL, etc. The manufacturers say technology is by Alstom. They're steel companies. They are all technologies outside. So more we consume, that was moving towards the West. But with the EVs, you don't need all these things. The money is moving, changing the direction. This is creating a destabilization in the global economy. More of that, what is happening, if you put Myanmar as a center and take a 3,000 kilometer radius, 60% of the global population lives there. They are all oil importing. And these countries are, because of the biggest oil, they are having the current account deficit and the changes in dollars. 2018, dollar was 62 rupees, today it is 88. Point is, as the changes, my export becomes cheaper and imports become costlier, I'm getting into a negative things. On the way, these countries in the Asia Pacific and Asia, including China, India, they are getting rid of this by EV because they reduce the oil in. The most the oil is happening, they're changing the global balance. And this is started by Elon Musk. And this is also destabilizing the USD because of the petrodollar and the non-equivalent printed gold reserves, etc. I'm not getting into that, but that's what all sustainability issues are getting. But this one man changed. This man changed the definition of space. Earlier it was NASA. Now no more NASA. He changed the tunnel boring. He changed the transport system. Even UAE, we are doing the tunnel boring with him. So wherever he put, he changed the whole sector and he didn't need a finance, but his technology is going to make us sustainable in terms, at least for the energy as well as of the transport, the biggest things over there. Yes, what we are facing the roadblocks is the conventional people from the thermal sector, or the oil lobby and the gas lobbies and the coal lobbies. They are the one, otherwise it is much cheaper. As we speak, I proposed one project in India 2021, they didn't take it. In UAE, we put it 1 year back. Today, the project is under construction. It's 5 gigawatt solar, 19 gigawatt battery, and 1 gigawatt transmission. The model is different from others, but it's a $6 billion, but my cost is much lower than the gas. There is no transition issues, no energy integration issues. It's perfect things. So energy transition can be cheaper. We have the model, we are doing this. Different cases, it's a mindset of the people and the lobbies are adopting it out. So I really come back to this quickly. I know the time is also there because we can always discuss. But what is few things are changing definitely, which is the technology, and I think technology change is not bad. On the other hand, I think this is good. I mean, I always give the example of India when there is an IT and computerization. We thought we lost billions of jobs of the people who had by hand, ticket manually. But now you can see we saved those time for us, putting 4 hours in the queue, 5, 6 hours. I can do other things, which is more meaningful. Definitely it will do. Robotics, automation will do. And when you talk the technology, first is this one, robotics, automation, quantum computation. I think quantum computation is more powerful in changing the business than AI. AI itself, we have separated, it's a new beast. New species, it is having a huge risk component, but definitely we will be able to handle it right way. But I am not afraid that this is an opportunity. We should get into this. The question coming back to that, how do we do the business and sustainability? I think as our generations, we couldn't solve it. Climate change issues, we couldn't solve it, but what you guys can do actually, you can guys look for this. Few sectors which we said it will be the sunshine sectors going forward. A is agriculture and food processing, but the fundamental business model needs to change. I mean, the producers of the food, when they sell at a market price, they should, sell as a farm price, but they buy their own needs from the market at market price. That's a gap. That needs to be abolished. Either they sell at a market price, buy their need back in the market price. That's why the whole sector will survive. Otherwise, they sell at farm price, but they buy their need also at the production price or farm price. But that is a fundamental reason, but that needs to be settled out. But how you can get into, yes, you can influence, and this will be your own livelihood. Second is that we are working on, this is a good part, you can think about the UAE and Saudi over there, the human engineering. So it's prosthetic, enhancing human organs, body, etc. Genetic engineering. So we are trying to make human more sustainable in that. Population will grow naturally. And because of economic pressure, because we cannot have more than 50% or we get our own mix. Third is basically on the construction engineering, because we cannot afford, avoid now the climate change impact. I mean, I was a part of Danang city, smart city Danang development. But now in this year, we overlooked actually the climate risk of Danang becoming storms. Today, this year, 15 cyclones in Vietnam alone. And all the investment we made, billions of dollars, is at risk. Ho Chi Minh City is sinking down. We invested, that was my first project in Ho Chi Minh, Smart City Ho Chi Minh, $800 million, and we are now seeing that $800 million is going down. There was last year, this month, 2 times, because of the tide, half of the Ho Chi Minh City was submerged. So that's the thing you have to. So now coming back to it, we have to create the construction because we need to relook at the millions of people in the city and which is coming. So then I think we West Bengal also don't invest in Diga. Don't develop Diga. Diga will be underwater. You have to actually go back and create the new cities. You can plan now that half of South Bengal, how you can relocate. So the construction will be there. Some places there will be no water, some places there will be too much water. And this construction should be happening. Transport will be on the aerial transport, drone-based transport, specifically hydrogen, because battery, whatever you put, this will limit the number of people carrying. So hydrogen-based transport, because then it's a low-weight fuel with current air transport, that is going to be the other sector you can work on. Fourth is basically, I call it human or behavioral engineering. So these are the things must we can get our job and this. And because IT will be monopolized by a few companies because the super quantum computation will be in the hand of few. And with the AI, it will be consolidated. Few companies will be there, rest of it will go down. So, but this will be very much monopoly. So, but I think if you serve a strike, then you have to get back to fundamental mathematics and physics, not general things. So those people, physics and mathematics will go there. Rest of the people will be finding more the rest of the things. I think I am not a traditional speaker and I speak only on energy, but anything questions, I think we will be happy to discuss if the time allows. Yes, please.
Please. Okay.
Thank you, sir, for your amazing speech. And I had a question that since the energy focus is going towards a more renewable source, then why are synthetic fossil fuels not being brought into the picture?
How do you produce synthetic fossil fuel? It's called the second law of thermodynamics. Can you remember the second law of thermodynamics? You cannot generate energy by more energy by energy without spending more energy.
Yes.
The point is you produce synthetic fuel from where?
Synthetic fuels are generated by applying pressure, like the generator.
How do you apply pressure?
By giving energy.
See, the compressor, one of the key things is the compressor. Compressor is one of the most inefficient machines in the world. You know average efficiency of a compressor? 5 to 10%. You put this on, you get back, it's very difficult. That's the only way we discarded, because I looked the energy transition of UAE energy plant, we discarded hydrogen in the power systems because you create the renewable energy 100, you put invest in the electrolyzer and you get a maximum of 50% efficiency, so you lose 50, and these 50 you put another 1 billion per gigawatt in the hydrogen engines, you have a 30% efficiency, and overall efficiency is eta 1 into eta 2. So 50 into 30 is 15. So overall 15 to 17% net efficiency, and you get that energy back, right? You put the battery, you have a 90% recycle, right? Round trip efficiency. So why you do work for hydrogen? You put the synthetic fuel if you are talking about a methanol or ethanol, etc. You should not do it. You put the battery, put the renewable energy, put in the electric vehicles. Soon the electric vehicles by next year you will get the semi-solid batteries. Your car range will be around 500, 600 kilometer. And by the end of this decade, by 2030, you will get a solid state battery. You will get a standard offering of over 800 to 2,000 kilometer per charges, which is much cheaper.
Thank you, sir.
Anything else will be available for some time, and then I don't want to waste your time. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir, for your enlightening address on the future of doing business in the era where focus is on sustainability. We are thankful to you, sir, for taking time out of your busy schedule and making effort to actually come down to the university. I would request Dr. Shitanshu Khatwa, Dean Xavier Business School, to kindly come up on the stage and felicitate Shri Shubhendu Bose. Sir, please. With this, we conclude our keynote session for today. I now hand over the session to Dr. Monudeep Ray Chaudhary to initiate the panel discussion for today. Sir, please.
Good morning, one and all. Our theme for this panel discussion is redefining success, rethinking performance metrics beyond profits. May I invite the panelists and the moderator on the dais, please. The moderator is Dr. Shitanshu Hatua, Dean and Professor, Xavier Business School, St. Xavier's University, Kolkata. Our panelists are Dr. Debashish Shur, Professor, Department of Commerce, University of Burdwan. Professor Dr. Konika Chatterjee, Professor, Department of Commerce, University of Calcutta. Mr. Shrikant ND, Associate Partner, Chief Operating Officer, KPMG Global Services. C.H. Shubham Goyal, Chartered Accountant, Goyal and Associates. In an era defined by rapid technological shifts, rising stakeholder expectations, and pressing global challenges, the additional notion of success today, measured solely by financial performance, does no longer capture the full picture of an organization's impact or potential. Today, businesses, governments, and institutions are increasingly recognizing that long-term value cannot be understood through profit margins alone. Redefining success, rethinking performance metrics beyond profits, our topic for this panel discussion, invites a deeper exploration into how modern enterprises can integrate broader, more holistic indicators of performance. These include environmental stewardship, social responsibility, employee well-being, ethical governance, and innovation-driven resilience. Such multidimensional metrics not only enhance organizational credibility, but also build sustainable pathways for growth in an interconnected world. By moving beyond conventional financial benchmarks, this theme today encourages leaders, researchers, and practitioners to rethink what it truly means to succeed. It calls for a paradigm shift towards models that balance economic viability with societal progress and planetary well-being, ultimately redefining success for a more equitable and sustainable future. With these introductory lines, I would invite the moderator, Dr. Shitanshu Hatua, to take the session forward. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Professor Monudeep Ray Chaudhary. Now, good afternoon, all present here, and once again, warm welcome to our first panel discussion of this conference on the topic Redefining Success, Rethinking Performance Metrics Beyond Profit. For decades, the axiom of business was simple. The business of business is business. Success was a vertical line on a graph, purely financial, measured in quarterly earnings, shareholders' dividends, and bottom lines. But looking at our conference theme today, transforming business, economy, and society, it is clear that the vertical line is no longer enough. We are moving into a multi-dimensional reality. We are seeing a shift from shareholder primacy to stakeholder capitalism. Today, we ask the hard questions. If profit is no longer the only metric, what takes its place? Is it ESG? Is it social impact? And more importantly, how do we quantify these intangibles in a way that makes business sense? To dissect this, I am joined by a panel that represents the perfect blend of rigorous academia and high-level industry execution. Please join me in welcoming my esteemed panelists, Professor Dr. Devashish Shur from University of Burdwan, Professor Dr. Punika Chatterjee from University of Calcutta, Mr. Srikanth ND, MD CEO KPMG, CA Shubham Goel, a practicing chartered accountant. Now, my first question, which is a common question to my all esteemed panelists, and that's a very obvious question that yes, if you have to remove net profit from the top of the dashboard, what is the one other metric you would put there to define a company's overall health in today's scenario? Sir, I want to start with you. Yes, sir, please, as you like.
Good afternoon to everyone present here. Honorable moderator, Professor Khatwa, respected co-panelists, esteemed professors present here, ladies and gentlemen, and my dear students. Today, we are assembled here to make some discussion on an exciting topic entitled Redefining Success, Rethinking Performance Matrices Beyond Profit. What gets measured gets managed. This simple truth has guided business strategy for decades. But what if the things we are measuring are too narrow? What happens when we define performance solely by profitability? For too long, business success has been defined almost entirely by profitability matrices like quarterly earnings, profit margins, and shareholders' returns. These indicators are clear, quantitative, and easy to compare across industries. But they represent only a slice of the full picture. In a world facing environmental collapse, social inequality, and declining trust in institutions, it is clear that we must expand our definition of performance. Today, we are rethinking performance matrices beyond redefining what it means for a business to truly succeed. So in this context, we can mention, first, let us consider the limitations of profit-centric thinking. Let us begin with a reality check. When companies focus only on profit, they often think short-term. They aim to boost quarterly earnings, but in doing so, they may neglect long-term priorities like innovation, sustainability, and employee development. Looking only at profit also hides real costs. A business may report strong growth while polluting waters, underpaying workers, or adding to climate change. These harms do not appear in financial reports, but they affect society and are harder to ignore. Focusing only on profit can also hurt relationships. Employees, customers, and communities notice when they are treated as tools instead of performance. So when money is the only goal, values like fairness, well-being, and ethics are pushed aside. Finally, there is the moral side. If a company makes record profits by using false advertising, avoiding taxes, or exploiting workers, can it truly be called successful? It is clear that profit alone is not enough. We need a broader way to measure business success. In this context, we can mention the triple bottom line: people, planet, and profit. To address these challenges, many companies now use the triple bottom line. In fact, the triple bottom line is a framework which defines success in three dimensions: people, planet, and profit. People considers how a company treats workers, customers, and communities. Are employees paid fairly? Is the workplace safe, inclusive, and supportive? Does the company contribute positively to the communities where it operates? Similarly, planet focuses on the environmental responsibility, covering carbon emissions, energy use, waste, and supply chain sustainability. With climate change accelerating, protecting the planet is no longer optional, it is essential. Profit still matters. A business must be financially strong to survive and grow. But in this model, profit is not the only goal. It is the fuel that supports a broader mission. In fact, the triple bottom line changes the core question from how much money did we make to what value did we create and for whom. Now let us consider some emerging matrices for a new era. In this context, we can mention at least 6 points. The first one is ESG matrices: environmental, social, and governance matrices. ESG matrices help investors and other stakeholders in evaluating a company's ethical standing and long-term viability. Environmental indicators include carbon emission and resource use. Similarly, social indicators cover labor practices, diversity, and human rights. And governance involves transparency, board diversity, and accountability. The second point is B Corp certification. Certified B corporations are legally committed to balancing profit with purpose. They are evaluated on their governance, treatment of workers, community impact, and environmental practices. These companies voluntarily hold themselves to higher standards, and the market is rewarding them for it. Another important point in this regard is integrated reporting. Rather than separating financial and sustainability reports, some companies are now using integrated reporting frameworks. In fact, these frameworks, these documents give a comprehensive picture of value creation across times and stakeholders groups, linking non-financial and financial performance. Another important point we must mention in this regard is human capital matrices. We all know that the progress of any organization is absolutely dependent on the skillful utilization of its human capital. It is not machine, but man, thoroughly motivated and absolutely dedicated, that helps a company's profit curve shooting upward. But this apparently simple truth is not a recent discovery. Vedas in the Mahabharata extolled nothing is superior to man. Classical economics like Adam Smith, Veblen, Marshall all have time and again stressed the importance of human capital in an organization. In fact, human capital matrices include employee engagement, retention, training, and mental well-being. They provide insights into organizational health and resilience that profit statement cannot. Another important point we should mention in this regard is customer-centric matrices. Companies increasingly use measures like Net Promoter Score and customers' lifetime value to understand long-term customers' relationship. But beyond satisfactions, organizations are also beginning to assess whether their products are making a meaningful ethical contribution to people's lives. Another important point we have to mention in this regard is social return on investment. Social return on investment evaluates the broader impact of projects and programs on society. For example, a workforce training initiative may not yield immediate profit, but it can generate long-term economic benefits for individuals as well as communities. In fact, social return on investment attempts to quantify this impact in a tangible way. Now let us consider some real-world examples of rethinking performance. The good news is that many companies are already putting these ideas into practice. In this context, we can mention one very renowned American multinational company of outdoor recreation, clothing, equipment, and food, Patagonia. Patagonia famously encourages customers not to buy its products unless they truly need them. In fact, this company emphasizes environmental sustainability and social responsibility and has cultivated a loyal customer base that respects those values. In this context, we can also mention another renowned British multinational company, Unilever. Unilever has pledged to reduce its plastic use and make all of its packaging recyclable or reusable by 2025. In fact, Unilever has invested heavily in its sustainable living brands, which consider ethical sourcing, environmental protection, and social equity. These brands are not only ethically superior, but also growing faster as compared to the rest of Unilever's portfolio. Even traditional financial institutions like BlackRock, the world's largest asset manager, now stress the importance of ESG factors in long-term value creation. In annual letters to shareholders, BlackRock CEO has emphasized the need to measure performance in terms of societal impact, not just financial results. So we can say that these are not isolated cases. They signal a broader shift towards performance matrices that reflect what society and the planet truly need. Now let us make a call to action. It is time to retire the outdated notion that profit is the only yardstick that matters. Financial results are important, but they are not the whole story. In today's interconnected, transparent, and value-driven world, organizations must think bigger. They must measure success not just by what they pay, but by what they give back. As current and future academic persons, we have the opportunity and the responsibility to redefine performance, to ask better questions, adopt better practices, and build businesses that are not only profitable, but also purposeful, not just efficient, but ethical, not just successful, but significant. Because the real bottom line is this: the best businesses do not make just money, they make a difference. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Shul. Yes, we understand a new word, triple bottom line, 3 Ps, people, planet, and profit. And you talked about social ROI, social return on investment. Yes, that's why instead of balance sheet or NPL account, we have to, when it is a project appraisal, we have to do a CBA, social cost benefit analysis. That is also equally important in today's appraising any project or venture. Thank you very much, Professor Shur. As we have a very limited time and we have to accommodate all panelists within 1 p.m. because after that lunch hour, and then I guess there will be no one in this hall. So and Professor Shur had already explained the entire domain of my first question. So I'm coming to my second panelist, Madam Chatterjee, to a very specific question based on her profession. Ma'am, from an academic standpoint, is this push for beyond profit a genuine paradigm shift in commerce theory, or it is just a rebranding of our old CSR concept? Ma'am.
Thank you so much for this question, and my regards to all the members of the August audience. As far as I'm concerned, I've devoted a number of years of my life to business ethics. Even though my calling was essentially in accounting and finance, I was extremely disillusioned with the assumptions that financial systems stand on. And so my skepticism drove me to work on business ethics. My take on this is that rhetoric needs to be superseded. There needs to be a high dose of authenticity, primarily because we are running out of time. Running out of time in the sense that we have already transgressed 6 out of the 9 planetary boundaries that can save us, save our souls, and save our life support system. And so no matter how much we have a pat on our back saying we've done so much, we literally haven't done anything. As we heard from Mr. Bose, who is in the energy sector, let us ensure that 1 hour doesn't lead to more problems. We are looking at 10 hours in the circular economy. I'm not naming the hours, but the important thing is recycling, for one, actually consumes energy. So we need to think more deeply about these issues. And so when we are looking at ESG and then CSR and then earlier TBL, sometimes they just degenerate into 3-letter acronyms without much meaning. So what we need to rethink literally is to start off redefining what we consider to be capital, which is an important force that we learn about when we come to do anything about business. So there is a framework that we already had in place, which is the 5 capitals framework. Financial capital comes right at the bottom. What comes at the beginning is what you can't replace at all, and that is natural capital. Natural capital has 2 components. Number 1 is non-renewable capital, and if you go by the capital maintenance theory, non-renewable capital should not be used because it's beyond the human capacity to replace it. So you get the rule from a traditional idea of capital maintenance, which I think all students of accounting would probably be aware of. And then comes renewable natural capital, because there is a chance, if not the quality or the quantity, of at least doing something. See, a lot of it, as I'm saying, in sustainable forestry is a gimmick. You don't get back the pattern of an ecosystem or a habitat the way nature had arranged it. So we need to first understand what nature is about. We are not nature inspired when we do these things. We do not understand natural patterns unless we get closer to being in communion with nature, which requires huge degrees of mindfulness, and our attention spans are far too small when we are so engaged in touchscreens. I think there's a certain paradox over here. If you literally want to get closer to nature, it's just not talking sustainability and talking environment that makes any difference. It doesn't. Yes? So getting to the very core of the issue, We need to be in closer communion with nature and understand what nature can teach us in its silent ways. It can teach us a lot. You can just get back to your garden or a plant that we are distributing here and see what the patterns of growth over there are. What we do in practice is, don't mind me saying that, is tinkering with ideas, but not literally getting there. And we are so complacent in tinkering with these ideas. So, yes, I am skeptical because somehow we don't inject it where it should be. Like we say, what gets measured gets managed. But when we measure what is not valuable and we keep omitting what is valuable, would those measures mean anything at all? What comes under E is again mandated. What comes under S is again mandated. So you can have checklists and checklists and checklists and keep having audits and keep having many other regimens that we already have. ESG would be just another regimen. Yes, authenticity is what we need. And authenticity doesn't always require us to be reactive to regimens, which may be controlled by politicians, which may be controlled by people already in power, the powers to be within corporate corridors. They will resist change because there is some degree of comfort zone, you might say, into what's already happening. So ESG just gets reduced to a disclosure practice without things happening within the walls of the companies. Now, I have this kind of fear, and therefore, when these other three planetary boundaries also get transgressed, where are we going to live? Where is business going to live? And where are we going to have our B schools and classrooms? I'm raising this question to you because it requires deep introspection. Thank you so very much.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Yes, instead of our buzzword profit, and you are talking about 5 indicators where finance it comes at the end.
Yes, I just mentioned,
Yes.
they are natural, after natural is social, after social is human, after human is manufactured, after manufactured is financial capital, because it's more symbolic in nature, in terms of what nature gives us. If you're looking at natural capital as the frame of reference, based on that, financial capital is only symbolic. And so the tone of the financial system and what purposes financial capital can be used, maybe sustainable finance is just scratching, the very base of doing things. But unless we sync it completely with a wholehearted commitment to protecting nature, I don't think it stands a chance. Sundarban is already in
Yes.
a very, very vulnerable state. So are the Amazon rainforests. So are all these practices going to save things? Is all the research that is being driven for the last 30 years into sustainability, has that made the quality of planet better, or are we headed for disaster? I'm saying this particularly to the Gen Z people because you have to face 2050, you have to face 2070. I may not. Yes, but I'm concerned. I'm concerned just as a very concerned planetary citizen. I don't see myself as a national citizen. I consider myself to be a planetary citizen. So my concerns are very, very genuine. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Yes, now we want to start thinking as a planetary citizen instead of national citizen. And as you have mentioned, that yes, we are a little bit complacent. We are using the buzzword sustainability, ESG, we are distributing plants, but maybe it is not yet injected in our blood. So that authenticity you have mentioned, yes, what we are saying only for maybe for the sake of saying, because entire world is saying, so we are also in the same line. We are conducting conference, but from our heart, whether we believe this, yes, our entire planet is under. It's a vulnerable condition and we have to save our planet. Now I'm going to my industry friend, my KPMG friend, Mr. Srikanth. As a global giant like KPMG, what is driving this change? Is it clients coming to you, help us become sustainable? Or is it strictly compliance and fear of regulation? What is your view, sir?
Thank you, Professor. I think it's a combination of both. I think very well set up for this conversation was the driving of profits following the triple P's, right? People, planet, and prosperity. And that is one element of what the clients are looking for. The second element is today's business is no longer just make money. Today we are in a very interconnected world where it matters more than just profits. The talent pool that you attract are looking at organizations for their sustainable practices. The ecosystem that you deal with are looking at what is your contribution back to the community, back to the society. So profit generation is no longer just about financials. Profit generation is about carrying the ecosystem together. We are in an interconnected world. So when we are looking at it, this triple bottom line of people, planet, and prosperity. What is that each of the organization can do to make it happen? So, the way I look at it is, again, from a student community standpoint, is how do you measure your success? It's your GPS scores, one can say. That is how organizations' measurement of success will be profits. But is it only GPS scores? Not necessarily, right? It is everything that you do to kind of get to the GPS score. It is the kind of extracurricular activities that you participate in. It is the kind of session that you attend. It is the contributions that you make by virtue of being part of a social club, so on and so forth. That's what drives your GPA. That becomes an end product, but what you do around is what is relevant. So is what how organizations deal in current state is profit is an end product, but what you do, the process that you follow in the whole journey is what matters. So coming back, what clients are looking for is that integrated ecosystem, is those practices. There are a lot many stringent measures that is in place today than what it was many years back. As simple as this, many of you who are coffee drinkers, there is a stringent policy that Starbucks adopts now, the sourcing, where do you get the coffee beans from, and from where you secure the coffee beans, are those workers well compensated? If not, this is not practices that your shareholders would be appreciative of you. So it's an integrated ecosystem that you need to kind of respect what it is, care for your environment, and when you do all of these things is what profit finally end up comes through.
So thank you, Srikanth. So we heard about a hardcore industry man that today's business is not about making money. Yes, and it's about integrated ecosystem you were talking about. Thank you very much. I will come to you once again. Now, our last panelist for today, again an auditor, and as because he is a practicing chartered accountant, so I have a very direct question to him. Shubham, as a CA, chartered accountant, you deal with hard numbers, right? Okay. How difficult is it to audit non-financial metrics when a company claims that they impacted 10,000 lives? Okay. Now, how do you verify that with the same rigor we verify cash flows?
Thank you, sir, for the question. I think in the when we talk about reporting and when we talk about auditors and when we talk about professionals associated with companies, the most important audience for them are investors. So why is the audit being done for the investor? Why is the report being made for the investor? So a lot of this professional ecosystem, and I think sir will agree that a lot of this professional ecosystem is around investors. And how do investors look at this is maybe one way to look at that how will an investor audit whether actually 10,000 lives are impacted or not, and does the investor care whether the 10,000 lives are impacted or not? And I think the way investors and the entire ecosystem tries to look at it is that so sir was talking about BlackRock, and I think in 2012, 2013, the internal studies of BlackRock started saying that the companies which are more sustainable end up having lower share price volatility. And that is what drove a lot of these big fund managers towards looking at ESG more seriously, especially the governance part after the 2008 crisis and the environment and social part after the internal metrics started telling them that the companies which are following these practices have lower share price volatility and have better returns on capital, better return on capital employed over a period of time, more consistent return on capital employed over a period of time. So I think one of the ways in which in which people try to look at these practices is obviously all the ESG audits and having professionals trying to rigorously check, go to the locations and try to look at the emissions, are they changing or not, etc. But the other thing that they are trying to look at is that if the company is compliant, then it will also reflect in the long-term performance of the company. So if the company is compliant, the ROCEs or the return on capital employed over the past 10 years should be very consistent. If the company is very sustainable, then the trust which the customer has in the company should be very strong. If the company is capital compliant, then there's a very important concept in investing called scuttlebutt. So what we do is that what investors do is that they don't only look at the financials, they also try to talk to the suppliers, talk to employees, talk to present employees, talk to employees which have left the company, talk to the customers, talk to everyone in the ecosystem around the company and try to get information. So if the company is sustainable, then in scuttlebutt also it will come out that the company is sustainable. So I think these are some of the ways in which investors and the professional ecosystem around the investing community tries to look at these metrics.
Thank you, Shubham. We understand about investors audit that as of now we have an image that yes, when you are doing your auditing, it is for your client. No, it is not for your client, it is for your client's investors. Okay, and you talked about more sustainable companies. Maybe they are having performer in the terms of performance, they are having lower profitability or the lowest profitability. So do you think that your client will pay your auditor's fees?
I'm sorry, sir, I did not get the question.
Yeah. You said that about these more sustainable companies, more very rigorous ESG practices may ultimately result with a lower profitability. So in that context, my question is whether they will able to pay your auditor's fees?
So I think so. The point was that not that they have lower profitability, but they have lower volatility of profits. And that is what actually makes them a better investment from an investor point of view because the beta reduces.
Okay.
So yeah, so variance is much lesser, and that is what an investor looks.
Yes. So variance is also less.
It's actually a win-win.
Okay. Okay. Thank you very much. Now my question is an open question. It's a trade-off question, which can be answered by any one of the panelists or maybe more. So I want to ask the room, my four esteemed panelists, that if a CEO has to choose between missing a profit target by 10% to keep the stock price stable or laying off 500 employees to hit that target, in the current redefined world, what is the correct decision versus the realistic decision? Anyone can take the question.
Well, I can take the question, though I am not in the role of going to the markets and defining numbers on a quarterly basis. But it boils down to the ethos of an organization, what the organization stands for. We did speak about we are in the business of people. We are not in the business of materials. We are not in the business of anything else, but we are a people business. So people business, our biggest input is people. So we would always make our decisions which revolves under what is the critical asset for us, which is people. So even if it means that we miss the target by a quarter or 2 quarters, we will not kind of put the neck on line of our people. So that is the point of view that we'll take, and that is the ethos. Like I said, every organization's needs definitions might be different. It kind of goes with what the organization defines who they are. But I think fundamentally, if you're in a people business, no matter which business, you've got to kind of put people in the front and center of everything.
Okay, thank you. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, your question reminds me of an article that I once read in Harvard Business Review by the great Roosevelt Moss Cantor. She's a Ernst Arbuckle professor at Harvard Business School. She had written a case for the great company. It was essentially an empirical study that came up with the findings at HBR. And she says that a great company is a high-performing company in terms of profitability, liquidity, and the other financial parameters. But most importantly, it puts its social logic before financial logic. So financial logic follows social logic, which she calls the institutional logic, which is why when these kinds of supposedly ethical crises situations arise, the pointer is very clear. First, we don't know who those 500 employees are. If that is hardcore talent in the organization, we just cannot afford to lose them. So this is one question. The other part is if we extend our vision to the long term, definitely taking a cue from you, the human being part, I'm not using the word human resource, I'm using the word human being, is something that you can change or transform through higher consciousness, and that's a possibility. Whether we do it through ethical leadership or through inspiration, motivation, training and development, there are so many ways of doing it. So if that happens, then over time, profitability will increase. So there isn't any trade-off, literally. There is no conflict. The conflict appears in the very short term. In the long term, conflicts are resolved. So if we look at it that way, that's a possibility. The second thing is if we collaborate and we have healthier ecosystems in the business sense, not in a natural sense, in believing in this idea, then you can probably build a consensus where ESG or ESG philosophy can actually be made mainstream rather than still now being a sidetracked issue, be made mainstream and be injected right from strategic issues like the vision statement and then the goals and etc. And then it comes down to the metrics. Metrics come at the very end when we come to performance evaluation. So we can build it holistically within the organization, then I think these conflicts would not even surface in our minds.
Thank you, ma'am. Now, as you said, social logic comes first, financial logic comes afterwards. And both of you have said about people should be the most concerned factor. And it is not about human resource, it is the human being. And if they can be motivated, they can be properly led with ethical leadership, then they can be transformed. And then profit will automatically it will take place. So people should come first, and that's why, as sir mentioned, that it's a triple bottom line.
Emotional engagement.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes.
Work with joy.
Yes. It's not a compulsion. Yes. So people, planet, and profitability. So profit will come at the last. So it is just an obvious. That's what everybody said. Now, as we are running short of time, so before we conclude the session, let me, if you have any question, it's a question and answer Q&A session from the audience with your esteemed panelists.
Esteemed panelists, with your permission, I would like to state, sir, the last question which you have shared, that does performance comes first, profitability comes first, or people? I believe that it's mindset. Because if you see pre-Sir Ratan Tata era and post-Sir Ratan Tata era, things are moving from a holistic perspective also. When Sir was there, we didn't see massive layoffs in terms of TCS, which happens to be one of the premier institutions, both in terms of profitability as well as culture. But post-era, although Chandrasekhar sir is doing very good, but we see a lot of massive layoffs being happening. So it has got to do with culture, it has got to do with mindset, profitability is there, but at the end of the day, when you care about your people, and when you care for the future, and when you care that society comes with a framework which is sustainable, then you should think for the longer perspective. So Sir Ratan was doing that, but maybe now the culture in the Tata family has been changing, which happens to be one of the premier business institutions, but is socially equitable. Why I am saying socially equitable? Because it could be one of the rarest companies in the whole world which cares for people. Second is, you all have stated about the topic that human capital index is important. But do you think that, my question to all of you would be, do you think are we doing justice to human capital index in all the minor fragmentations? When we talk about training, training is one time opportunity and it is a one-way process. But are we targeting in the micro fraternity? Are we looking at the holistic perspective of development? And when we talk about all other things which is oriented to people development, is it a one-way thing or it should be like people to people? There should be like a framework which refers to people to people. So my question in the context is this. Thank you.
Look for. Yes, anyone?
If you're looking at, again, we're looking at the Human Development Index as a metric, I do, I'm actually in agreement with you in the sense that when we're looking at human beings, and I continue to use the word human beings, because actually there are many parts to us other than just intellect and body. And the more important part is our human consciousness, which actually steers the other aspects of our being. And over there, there is certain element of oneness. And unless we reach out, whether through verbal communication or through telepathic communication or any other still not known ways of communication, epistemology can definitely allow that to happen. Reaching out is very important. And sometimes even I would say learning from people who are more intuitive, little children are more intuitive than us because rationality hasn't touched them. It's very important to learn from them because I think they reflect nature's qualities more than we do. So I think you can give them a chance.
Thank you, ma'am. I think you got your answer. Yeah, I think because of time constraint, last question from audience. Yes.
My question is to ma'am. Ma'am, what I understood from the speech is that the sustainable practices are not properly implemented. At the macro level, in regards to India, does the existing welfare and institutional framework pose a scope to combat that gap between theory and actual practice?
Thank you so much for your question. Very well thought of. I think in whichever role of educators we are, I'm not saying people in academia. We are all educators, starting from even a parenting act is education. So if we look at education in its broader perspective, definitely education needs to be more proactive rather than be guided by syllabi and curriculum and certain national level policies. There is much that we can do beyond just be reactive to whatever comes by in terms of governmental impositions, and that could probably serve to bridge the gap. And I said, nature mimetic, biomimetic is what we call it, biomimesis, is being inspired by nature is something that is open to us. Learning from nature would do us a world of good, not only in terms of improving our lifestyles, improving who we are, but even improving the technologies that we use. Just to give you one, we are all so exuberant and enthusiastic about using AI, but the important part is that this whole element of AI is good, and it is definitely one of the ingredients of industry version 5. That means digitalization and sustainability should shake hands. The important thing is AI is very, very water intensive, and in all those places where the data servers are, the cooling systems take away so much water that those places are facing water crisis. Now the issue is, should you use AI just for little queries which can take up 1 whole liter of water, double this water, and restrict AI use to only where it is absolutely imperative because somebody is running out of drinking water for us using AI for irresponsible purposes. So I'm just telling you this, when we jump onto something as an educational necessity, shouldn't we be a little more responsible, a little more thoughtful, a little more introspective, and a little closer to nature?
Thank you very much. So as we conclude, it is clear that profit isn't disappearing. It is simply moving from being the destination to being the fuel. People comes first, profit will take place automatically. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir. And thank you, my esteemed friends from KPMG and from my auditors friend. So we have heard today that while the metrics are changing, the need for discipline, whether in academic theory, corporate strategy, or auditing standards, remains higher than ever. So we should be more disciplined. I would like to thank our esteemed panelists for a discussion that was not just about soft skills, but about the hard reality of the future economy. Thank you very much, and let us have a big round of applause for our.
Thank you for the discussion. I now invite Professor Xubelu Chakraborty to please come on the dais and felicitate Professor Dr. Debashish Shul. Professor Xubelu Chakraborty to Professor Dr. Konika Chatterjee, ma'am. Thank you, Professor Xubelu Chakraborty. I now invite Professor Bonni Guho to please felicitate Mr. Srikanth N.D. Professor Bonni Guho to CA Shubham Goyal. Thank you, Professor Bonni Guho. May I now invite on stage Professor Abhishek Shaharoy to felicitate Dr. Shitanshu Khatua. Dr. Shitanshu Khatua, the moderator of this session, has his birthday today as well. Thank you, members of the panel, and thank you, moderator sir. We may now proceed for lunch. The lunch menus are for the dignitaries, guests, and faculty members, it's Hall of Fame 2. And for participants and paper presenters, it is Hall of Fame 1. Volunteers, please help them. And we are, these are all on the ground floor. We are to be back by around 2:15 The tracks would begin post-lunch. Economics, room 113. HR and OB, room 112. AI and BI, room 101A. Innovation and strategy, 105A. Marketing and consumer behavior, room 106. Finance and corporate governance, amphitheater 223. And ESG,